have an age difference. We have life differences.
This is how you should live your life.
I got the faith. Because to get the faith...
Got it. Well, let's jump into this.
This is the Old School, New School podcast.
4, 3, 2, 1...
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Old School, New School podcast. I am Will Charles Egan, and as always,
Chris McGinnis.
We are so glad that you are here. If you're watching on YouTube and if you enjoy the content that we're making, please hit the subscribe button that is appearing over Logan, Chris's head. Hey, Logan, I know you're listening right now.
Yes,
Logan,
thank you, Logan.
Shout out Logan. He is one of the only people that has told me, hey, I'm looking forward to your podcast episode that's coming up. I go, oh, okay. Well, let's go do this then.
My son-in-law listens too.
Your son-in-law listens,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
My kids don't. They're like, you're an idiot.
Yeah. We had Griffin on, and he didn't even listen to it. He was kind of like, okay, I'm on the internet. All right, bye.
Okay,
and that was
bye.
it. Yeah. But, yeah, that was cool to hear. Like, oh, people like this. And then, we'll see where it goes ultimately.
And now that we have a 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
52 episodes.
Hey. Yes. This is 52 episodes.
That's like crazy. Da-da, da-da. And if you listen today, you're the...
Yeah, right. If you are a 1,000th listener, you get a voucher for a crisp high five.
Oh, no. We'll give them a free car wash. Just call me.
All right.
Free car wash.
You want a free car wash? Call up the guy.
$35.95 value.
All right. For $35, you can... Will it be worth it? Who knows? But anyways, we are kind of sitting here talking. Like, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. This is one of those... I don't know. This episode feels a little bit more of one of those like...
Well, it's Sunday, and it's like we never record on Sunday.
Right, yeah. The podcast is uploaded right now, having been recorded earlier today. So... It's very last minute, and usually Sunday is kind of like a
we either do it
day.
We used to do it before somebody got a job. How's your job going?
I'm telling you, it's hard having a job that's 40 hours a week.
What?
Well, the hours are weird, and it's far away, so my commute is long, and it's don't get me wrong, I love working there, but it is it is a great environment, which is not. It's a great environment.
There's places like my car wash that are not a great environment.
But honestly, I work for a Christian company, and it is like, wow, I have never worked for
good people.
Yeah, right. Good, like people that share the same morals and beliefs and values as me, and value you as a human, and value your time, and value the effort that you're putting into.
Yet they still want you to do your job.
Right, yeah, it's a corporate job, so it's like, you've got quotas, you've got to call this many people, and so it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And has your writing suffered?
It has, which is, now I have a full-time job. It's like to be expected, but I'm still writing weekly. It's just not as often, because before I could just kind of like, I'll go to the coffee shop in an hour and write for 5 hours.
Yeah, well, actually, the more you have to do, the more you get done. People that have more to do, because it's like, oh no, I've got to get up and go to work. Mm-hmm. I got less done in my life when I was on the fire department, when I would only work 2 days a week.
That's a very good point.
Like 5 days off. You're like, I'll get it. I'm off on Saturday.
You're slacking off a lot more.
Okay, it's Saturday. I'm off again tomorrow.
Right.
I'll do it tomorrow. Oh shoot!
You've never done it. It never got done.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's like the shoemaker's son.
That's a very good point. Those are like the qualities of a good leader, a good person are, they're obviously they're getting the job done. And that's a really good point. If you have too much time on your hands to just kind of do whatever.
That's a really good point that I just had. I just want to share that with you.
It's been recorded, so yes, all right. People know that you made a good point.
Yes, we all heard that.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that I like the most about you.
Yeah. The topic of discussion is ourselves. We're going to be talking, what are the qualities that we
were
like?
going to talk about leaders and leadership. And one of the things that I notice in the church, there's when you have a really good leader and you got a person that's like really smart, but they're not. Just because you're not a good leader does not mean that you're not a good Christian. I mean, not all people are natural born leaders.
Yes.
I met this one guy. His name was Roy Ackerman.
Just immediately gave the full name.
I don't care. He is this guy. When you meet him, you're like, I mean, and he had just went through some crisis, everything, and he just worked through it, and you're like, I know this guy's life's a disaster, but
Yeah.
I would follow him
Yeah.
into a thing. I mean, he's got he knows how to organize, he knows how to talk to people, but he's just a natural born leader, and people follow him.
Yes.
And when he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, when he's in his
zone.
in his zone, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll use that word today. When he's in the zone, he's the one that actually started galvanized up in Cleveland. But he would get guys that were in recovery, and he would lead them. And they're just people would come.
Yeah.
And he just was a good leader. I mean, sometimes you're like, okay, Roy, shut up,
Yeah. Yeah.
But people would come, and there's
Yeah.
and he always was like that, even when he was a young kid.
Really?
Do you know anybody like that?
Oh yeah, there's definitely the natural charismatic people that are very good at, I'll do anything you say. Like my roommate actually was very much like that for a very long time at Bayside College. Everybody wanted to be his friend, because he's naturally charismatic. I mean, the way also he looks, he's got like brunette blonde hair, blue eyes. He's very tall and handsome, and everybody's, I want to be his friend.
I want it. Please pick me.
Exactly,
Pick me.
right?
Yeah.
He's athletic and he's smart and he's good looking. I want to, naturally charismatic people. And when I was at Bayside College, I heard we had these little chapel services that we did.
People give you a hard time because you have red hair.
Yeah, all the time. Well, people are always commenting on my hair. If not bad, they're just saying like, "Oh, your hair." I'm like, "Hey, man, how about like the rest of me? Like, I'm not just a head of hair walking around.
I'm college educated.
Yeah, I have a degree.
I do have a full-time job right now.
I do have a podcast. I'm pretty important. I'm not just the guy with the red hair.
Okay, so did you find that people have a hard time following a redhead?
Well, I'm easy to follow physically. I stand out like a lighthouse because I'm tall.
Yes,
and
you are tall.
red hair.
Well, my daughter saw you at that concert we talked about.
Exactly.
And she's like, hey,
Yes.
Red, right?
Yeah, she goes, Will. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh. Hey, what are you doing here?
Yeah, you stuck out. So, okay,
Exactly.
so go ahead.
No, but I was hearing a message one time at a chapel service that we did at Bayside College, and the guy that was giving the message had given, the outline of, in the church or in the corporate office, in the media space, we all like to follow the leaders, right? And so you'd think of it as like the Christian archetype of, washing, like Jesus washed the disciples' feet and all that, of like, okay, I'm going to be a servant leader. And it's like, that sounds like a nice Christian title. I'm a leader and I'm serving, and it's like, yes, okay.
But aren't I the boss?
Right, exactly. It's like, well, I'm supposed
Wait
to
a
be
minute,
ahead.
I earned my way to this spot.
Right. Yeah, I worked my way up the ladder. Why do I have to serve the people? It's a pyramid. That's right. You're working your way up to the top, and once you're at the top, it's like, I don't have to stoop to your level anymore.
Yeah,
and it's
I'm
like,
the boss here.
right. But
Shut up.
exactly.
Get to work.
Don't tell me what to do. I tell you what to do.
You think that you can come into your last day of work with
Wearing a bathing suit?
wearing a bathing suit?
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
And you would get mad about it?
Right, that's a story for another episode right there. But I don't think Noah listens to this. But I was like, okay, that's interesting. But the message the guy was giving, he said, we look at that with the wrong terminology. It's not I am a servant leader. I am a leading servant. It's like, well, that's the same thing. It was like, no. Listen, the primary descriptor is servant. The adjective is leader, not the other way around.
What scripture are you referring to?
My own personal thoughts.
Yeah.
13:1. No, but this was like just the story of Jesus washing the feet. It's in multiple gospels.
If you want to be great in the kingdom of God,
Right.
you must become a servant of all.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great example right there. The meek will inherit the earth. That's turning the power
What do you
dynamic
mean by
upside
meek?
down.
Is that like a big wuss? Like, don't hit me, Will.
No.
Please don't hit me.
No. I mean, I don't like the word mistranslation, but the idea of meek in that being humble, placing God before yourself, you're being a servant of others, which doesn't necessarily mean that you're letting people walk all over you. Obviously, it's like you have to stand strong in your faith and who you are. And there is a weird balance that you kind of feel like you have to walk where it's like, well, yeah, I don't want to be overbearing, too commanding jerk, but at the same time, I don't want to have everybody walk all over me and be like, don't hit me. where is the balance in that, right? Is it too much of one thing? Is it too much of the other thing? Is that even a correct analogy of a balance between overbearing and underbearing? What does that look like?
I think of sometimes meek. I've been around the Christian community long enough to know the right to say, Jesus was meek.
Yes.
But what does that mean? Well, actually, he could blow you out of the water if he wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
Bam. He could heal you, whatever he wanted to do.
Sure.
At any given time. But did he walk around going, Burrow, I will take you down?
Right, exactly.
No. I mean, he was like.
He didn't strut around.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, oh, no, tell me. Okay, this is Chris's interpretation.
Okay. The book of Chris.
I could actually see when I picture Jesus, when they always go, close your eyes and picture Jesus. I see him sitting on a rock.
Okay.
With his legs crossed, laughing and busting everybody's balls.
Yes.
That's that's what I see when I see Jesus. Now, I also see him going, hey, whoa. Now we've crossed the line.
Yep.
And we're not going to do that.
Yep.
If he had to do that, he probably just looked at him.
Right, and then they would just.
He had the eye. He had the look.
He probably had the eye.
I bet you he did.
Jesus had the ultimate eye.
Well, he looked at Peter when
he betrayed him 3 times.
Peter lost it.
Oh yeah, he went off crying like a baby, like a
so
meek
anyway,
person.
so when I think of meek, we'll inherit the meek ends.
Yeah, I was gonna say your last name is Meekins. You are, I guess.
But I think of historically at the fire department, you have more stories at the fire department than anybody can imagine.
Right.
You can always one up anybody's stories about awesomeness.
Sure.
I mean, I still have them. I haven't been on the fire department for 20 years. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I can still pull up a story that was like, oh yeah, it was this one. Mm-hmm. Oh, you think that was something. But you don't have to always do that. You don't have to be like the biggest guy or they have the biggest story.
Right.
You can have big stories. Like there was one night, we had a horrible night. It was awesome. I mean, there were a bunch of dead people, and you come home and you're like, well, that doesn't happen too often.
Sure.
We saved this guy's life. We got that. Whatever.
Yeah.
And you go into church the next day, and people are like, oh, well, did you just sleep all night? And you're like,
not really.
Yeah. Well, it was a good night, man.
Yeah.
And so they go, yeah, you guys do nothing but sleep around. And you're like, that's not true.
Yeah.
And so there's a place where you don't need to exert your power,
overbearing authority,
either authority or stories or personality. Because there's this guy that's over here at our place, man, that he's got a story about everything.
Sure.
And you're like, well, I want to share a story too.
Yeah. Hey, I'm here too. Right. Yeah.
So that's what I think of meek.
Okay.
But when I think of servant leader, I think of
leading servant.
Leading servant.
Get it right.
I think of an inverted flow chart, because
okay.
we always think of here's the janitor and the cook and all this, and then they have supervisors, and then there's me up at the top.
Right.
And I got this example from Joyce, of course.
She needs to be on the podcast.
She needs to be on the podcast.
She never
Can
will.
you write? Somebody call her up and say, "Be on the
Convince her.
podcast. We want to meet this person."
Yeah.
But anyway, when she started her ministry, they asked her to give a flow chart, and it was upside down. They're like, "Why is this upside down?"
Right.
They're going, "Why are you on the bottom of this flow chart?" She goes, "Because my job is to serve these two people." And this is my right-hand person, and this is my left-hand person. And then they serve these other people, and then they serve these other people. And it was amazing because people were there, because people think that they're special.
People think that they are important. Okay.
Some people think they're really
some people really are all that in a bag of chips.
But the truth is that we're being called to be a servant of all.
Yes.
And yes, you're special. Okay, you're special.
Yeah, you're special too, I guess.
But the truth about it is we're supposed to love other people.
Yes.
And so can you just step back from being so special for 5 minutes and think of this other person?
Right.
Because I am the boss. And like I said, I'm the owner. So the owner at the car wash. So yesterday we had a bad day. There was a couple people that didn't show up. They got really busy in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And the guy let me know, called me and let me know. And I'm like, okay, I'll come down there. So he's like, what? He's my new manager.
Yeah.
He's, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm here to help. I put on a T-shirt and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the car wash T-shirt, and
Yeah.
and I look like everyone else.
You blend right in, yeah.
And so he goes, no, and I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
I go, where can I be the most effective
Right.
and be out of the real worker's way?
Yeah.
And so I
Sure.
was at the beginning of the tunnel, and I prepped the cars for 30 seconds and for about 2 or 3 hours while they were in their rush.
Mm.
And and then I disappeared because I can. I
Right.
told him, hey, man, I got to go.
I got places to be and stuff.
It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But he texted me. He's like, thank you so much for helping us. We had a great day, and thank you for stepping in. Okay.
Yeah.
They were appreciative that I was there to help them. Now if I would have said, "Hey, and I get some of the tips," I'm just saying,
Right.
right. No, I was there to help them.
That's a great analogy. The inverted pyramid, and I think what you not to toot your horn, but what you did was amazing. I really like that layout of the inverted pyramid, because when I was with when Jordan first took over with youth ministry, he kind of laid out the plan for like coaching and having the kind of like the flow or the corporate tree for ministry, right? Like you have the CEO, then the president, COO, CFO, and then they have these people, the HR director, and then it goes all the way down. But again, it was upside down. So Jordan was the director of the youth ministry, right? Okay. And so he would serve directly to the coaches, so me and then like a couple of other people, and then we would serve to the leaders, and then the leaders would serve directly to the students, right?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, you're in a corporate sense, the tree goes, this person reports to that person, reports to that person, everything goes up to the CEO, and the delegations go from the top down, but you're reporting to that person. It's like, well, with ministry, the leader serves towards the person that is, quote, under them, or in the inverted sense, above them, the next step in the chain. So you serve directly, and then it becomes less daunting, because it's like, there's 15 leaders and there's like 40 students, and I have to like connect with each one of them. It's like, well, this is your section. You serve directly to these people, and you interact with all the students. Obviously, you're here to serve students ultimately, not just hang out with the other leaders. So you're serving directly to the people that you are over, and then they serve direct, and then it becomes this flow. And I was like, oh, it's simple, and it's kind of like, well, yeah, but it's
because
effective.
Everybody needs to know that there's somebody behind them.
Yeah.
Probably the scariest thing that ever happened when I was in the fire department, there was this incident, and I remembered hearing in fire school, they said, let me just tell you, you're the help.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody else coming after you. You're thinking, that's intimidating.
A lot.
You're like, do they not know who I am?
I'm an idiot.
I'm the help. I'm pretty sure you might want to.
You call 911 and I show up? Oh, no.
And there's nobody coming after me?
Right.
And so, but I think people always want that support. They want that servant leader that's like, I'm not asking you to do my job. I'm just asking you, could you do A and B so that I could you talk to the owners and make sure that they would, unlock the door or set off the alarm so I'm not standing out there, because I know we're supposed to start at 8 o'clock, but you should probably shut off the alarm at 7:45 so that I can be early to do better.
Right.
To do that. And a servant leader goes, yeah. Mm-hmm. Because then all of a sudden they're like, okay, they support me. They believe in me.
Yes.
Especially in the world today, even though you guys make more money than I ever dreamed possible. Most people.
Who do? We do?
Yeah.
Me? I don't know about me.
Your age group can make some serious coin.
Yes. The entrepreneurship in Gen Z is commendable.
Yeah. But everybody needs a boss. And that's one of the things I love about Bayside is Pastor Randy will get up there, and he said something last week. Just got up there. He's like, okay, I'm not preaching, but I'm going to say this. Yeah. And it was very bold and it was very strong. Mm-hmm. And every week they're like, just want to remind you who the leader is here. Yeah. They never start a service without acknowledging Randy as the leader. Sure. Yeah. Because in a world today, I just need to know who's in charge.
Who is leading all of this?
Yeah. And if you're not, get the hell out of my way because I'll lead.
Right. Yeah. Because some people.
You're the same way.
Yes. Yeah. I'm very I will do things myself. right? And if there's no like chain of command or like delegation of responsibilities, I'll be like, okay, I'll do it. It's fine, I'll do it. And that's like, it can be a good trait, but it can also be a little overbearing where I work better alone. I'm very independent. We were talking before this. I'm like extremely independent. I'm an only child if it wasn't overtly obvious. I say that a lot because I think it is. When I met some people at work and I was kind of talking and they were all like, oh yeah, my siblings, my cousin. I was like, oh, I'm an only child. And they all kind of looked at me like, that it makes sense, doesn't it? They were like,
that's sad.
well, I told them I'm an only child and they all kind of looked at me and I said, that it makes sense, doesn't it? They go, it explains a lot.
Yeah, it explains everything.
And I'm like, I know. But I work better alone. And so whenever there's like a problem or something needs to be done by a certain deadline, I feel like I can trust myself. I know what I am capable of, and I can trust myself as opposed to delegating and trusting others. And that can be a bad trait, but it's like you have to make sure that you know that there are people either behind you or in front of you or beside you that are also doing the jobs of ministry or of your job or leading a small group. And that's, hey, you don't have to do everything. You have your set, your list of responsibilities, but a good leader will go the extra mile. If somebody, it's like it says in scripture, if somebody asks you to carry their bags for a mile, you go 2 miles, right? You go the extra mile for them because this is how you make the well-oiled machine run better, is you help each other out, right? And you delegate responsibilities.
You have the capabilities. You just might not want to do them today.
Exactly.
2 questions. Shit, I forgot the first one.
Okay, start with the second one.
Okay, second one was women.
Okay.
Leaders.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a man.
Right.
Baby.
Yeah.
And do I have to listen to a woman leader?
Mm-hmm.
Aren't I superior just by genetics?
Yeah, the family dynamic is the father's the head of the household and the wife's subservient, right? Is that how? I know of a lot of churches, ourselves included, where there are women in very prominent roles.
Absolutely.
Also, let me also say this. I'm not here to go on a feminist tirade.
I'm hoping you're not. I was hoping to go the other way, but go ahead.
We're going to go on a masculine tirade. I'm not.
Thus the difference between our age. Okay.
This is why he's old school. I'm new school. But I don't want to do either of those. I don't want to label myself a feminist. I don't want to label myself anti-feminist.
Right.
I just think that if you're qualified for your job, then do it. I think that's really like, okay. Like women bring different traits to the table. Obviously, there's more of a maternal caring role naturally with women that is, like if you have somebody who is over kids ministry, I would say some of the best in that are women. Because
oh my God.
What?
You're going to get in so much trouble.
Well, I'm not saying like Grant Kenny needs to be kicked out and replaced with a woman, but the maternal role a lot of the times, well, you look at a kids ministry room and you see women a lot.
They have, like you said, they have better skills at certain things. They just like my wife walks through the house. She sees stuff that I just don't see.
Exactly.
And she scoops things up as she's walking to the other side of the house. I'm like, can you just walk straight without grabbing something? She goes, well, I'm going to walk by. I know I'm going to have to pick it up later.
Right.
And so I might as well just pick it up now and bring it halfway there. And then when I go into that room, I'll grab it again.
What?
And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
What are you talking about?
Could you just give me the clicker?
Yes.
That's all I'm asking for. But women are very insightful, and they see things that men just don't see.
Yes.
On the other hand, men see things that women just don't see.
Right.
I know that's politically totally incorrect.
Oh my God, you say what?
But
it's
I
just
think
true.
we're different roles. But my daughter-in-law, she's like a rock star when it comes to her job.
Yeah.
She's always getting promotions. She's a strong leader. Mm-hmm. And she's good at it.
Yeah.
So why would I go, well, I can't listen to her because she's a woman.
Yes. Based off that shallow excuse.
Yeah, because someone 100 years ago says the Bible said, men should. But I think I'm going to be married at the end of this month for 45 years.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah. And it's like a miracle from God. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons that I think that we've made it this far is that I don't try to tell her how to organize. I do tell her how to quit organizing and let's go have fun.
Right.
I mean, I do say, hey, we need to go out and talk to these Paul and Nancy and just have a conversation with them. She's like, I got shit to do. And I'm like, well, you can do that later.
Right.
Now, in our case, we're opposite roles of most couples.
Yes.
I'm more the relational one, and she's more the time, dirt, and money.
Really?
Oh, my gosh.
Okay.
Well, my wife, I mean, if she has one friend, she's good.
Yeah. I'm the total opposite.
Yeah. She can go outside and talk to someone for 2 minutes and go, okay, I'm done, and walk away. The other day, we were out. No, okay, sorry.
Okay.
So women in leadership. Now, I do have a little bit of a problem in the ministry. I don't know if that I could listen to a woman's pastor, but that's just me because I'm like,
You're old school.
I'm old school, and I'm like, and women talk differently than men do.
That's a good point. Yeah.
They talk faster.
Yeah, even to that, the way that they speak.
And they talk at a higher pitch.
Yeah.
And they talk more about emotions where, Randy gets up there and says, hey, if you don't like it, I guess you have to go to another church.
Right, and that resonates with you more.
I love that.
Yes.
Just tell me the truth.
Right, because you're a
Lay it
man
on me.
and
Yeah.
you hear a man speaking, he goes, man things.
So there are women like my wife that are far superior than I am when it comes to organization, sticking to it, everything else like that. And she sticks it to me all the time. But anyway, sticking to it, that I should be following her in those things.
Right, yeah.
And just because I'm a man doesn't mean that I'm superior. It's like, no, it's a gift. She's a gifted leader.
Yes. Yeah. So she has her own qualifications, and she has the things that she's better at naturally.
Right.
And there's things that you are better at naturally as well.
Right.
And so I think with the different roles that we have in, again, either ministry or corporate or even just like a friend group or something, there's naturally people will fall into roles. It's fun. Actually, my own friend group, my main friend group that I hang out with the most, it's funny because we have like these we've hung out for so long that we have these natural roles that we've dished out.
Pecking order?
What?
A pecking order?
Yeah, well, kind of, because like there's a mom and the dad in the friend group. There's like there's the mom energy of this one, and then there's the dad energy of the other, because mom always plans the get-togethers and she's always making sure everybody's okay.
Yeah.
And then dad's like just kind of,
come on. Hey,
yeah,
that's enough. Let's just get this party started.
Exactly. And then there's like the redheaded stepchild, and then there's the adopted son, and then there's the rebellious teenage daughter, and then there's the jock son. And so it's like we've naturally kind of fallen into these places. And yes, your gender will
Do you not
oftentimes
know that
dictate
they call that dysfunctional family?
What do you mean? Having like roles that you fall into?
Kind of.
I again, this is my man brain. I look at that and I see order and I see correctness. You have a position.
Don't you know that your position in our family is that you shut your mouth?
Yeah, right. That's where you're supposed to stay. You're supposed to stay silent in the corner with your dunce cap on.
But again, to go back to my friend Roy, there's always a natural born leader in a group. And people are like, hey, man. And it's not like you're like, oh, Will's the designated leader.
Right.
You're just like, hey, Tom called. He wants to go to this thing.
Right.
Hey, let's just do it.
Let's go.
Tom's got good ideas.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think the person that is the effective leader and to go back to the servant, the leading servant, is that person is charismatic because they help others out. And so people see that, and it's not like it's transactional per se, but they say, I respect the qualities that Tom has.
Right.
And so I want to be around him more.
Yeah.
Right. I like what he's done for me. And so I'm going to do things for him. I'm going to, even if that is just as simple as like, I'm going to follow where he says to go.
And even non-Christians. I mean, the gang that I hung out with, there was one guy, his name was Frank. And, you know, he was kind of like the leader. I mean, he was, he was just a great guy, you know.
Yeah.
And he just, he would call you out on it. It's like, don't be a jerk.
Yeah. Good save.
So can you think of if you thought of someone that was probably the most influential leader, who would it be and why?
Like in my life, or just that I've seen?
In your life.
in my life.
And then you could do like in general.
Yeah. I think the most influential leader. That's a really, you ask, I don't know if I've ever told you this. You ask the best questions. You're really great at steering conversation in terms of like just asking questions.
It's called control.
It's just, well, you're good at it.
My kids will go, you're like the puppet master.
You are. You really are. No, I'd say in my personal life, I'd say some of the best leaders have been, well, I mean, something as simple as the youth directors that I've served
I
with.
remember my question. Like,
Okay.
the old youth group.
Cameron Gamzo.
Cameron.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's perfect because that's what I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah, that was meant to be then. So Cameron was the youth director at the church that I serve at, and he's been doing his own thing now, and now it's Jordan Breon. But for both of them, really, I've found that they are, and with Cameron, he was a very, very effective leader because I think because everybody kind of has like an overarching umbrella ministry that they really kind of hone in on, and I think his is let's be real. Cameron was very effective at like let's get real, including like getting down and dirty with things that we might not even want to talk about. And Cameron was really great with being vulnerable, with being real, and it made people gravitate towards him because it's like, oh, I don't have to act a certain way. I could just be myself. Yeah. And so I would always follow and listen to what he said because I know exactly what his reasoning was because he was very vulnerable and open and plain.
And he didn't have any false pretense on you, any ideas of what you're supposed to be. Right.
And he would just say, what do you offer? Okay, here's what we can do. Let's just come on in. Let's go. Let's do this. And I was like, I can follow that because I like his very, to use a sophisticated term, his libertarian approach, which is it's almost hands off. Where it's like, you can be unapologetically yourself. I'm not going to squeeze you into a certain shape.
Right.
It's like, who are you?
Right.
Okay, let's
This
use
is
that.
how you'll get on the leadership team if you jump through these hoops.
Exactly. Right. You don't want to have to tailor or twist because, you can't walk, with your head turned sideways, bending over backwards, reaching over this way because it's not natural. You have to like contort yourself to a certain ideal that you want to be. Whereas with his leadership style, it was like, this is you, this is all of you, bring it to the table, let's work on you, and let's serve together. And I think for the general leader, some of the best leaders that I have seen, honestly, I think I'm going to have to go with Pastor Randy as well. His way of delegating, because that's another thing with the whole like pyramid or delegations, like you've got the one guy at the top, and he delegates to these people, and then he delegates to these people, and then these people, and it's like you almost never see the guy at the top,
right?
Because it's all just
you're like 5 steps away from that guy.
Exactly, you're removed.
Yeah, you're 5 steps removed from the leadership.
Yeah, and
you're
so
like, well, that's bull crap.
Right, you're like, I want to talk to this.
Yeah, I came to work for him.
Yes, exactly.
Especially in the church world.
Yeah, and that's another thing, I guess, beyond just Randy is like the different campus directors, because Bayside has different campuses where we have different lead pastors. So like a David Murphy, who is also considered like a more, everybody knows David. He's
right.
constantly giving messages at the main campus. He's another person where it's like he seems so far removed, but it's like, no, he was my professor in a college course. And he spoke to me, and another thing, he remembers things about me, and he was really great at connecting one-on-one. So
because it is all about us.
Yeah,
See,
right.
I shared that one.
Ultimately, it is about what people remember about me.
A good leader does remember key issues. We had Pastor Jonathan. You didn't meet. I would have people come to our new membership class, and they said, well, I met him like 4 years ago when my mom was dying, and I came and visited church with my mom on her last birthday, and I never came back. And I walked in 4 years later and said, oh, hi, Julie. I'm really, you know what?
Yeah.
How did it work out with you and your mom? I know that she died and everything worked out. And they're like, holy crap.
How do you remember that?
How do you remember that?
Yeah.
So I have 3 people. May I
Go ahead.
speak?
You may. This is your podcast.
It's your podcast.
It's ours.
One, when I was in high school, there was this guy named Wayne Baldwin.
Okay.
And I was like so bad, but he was the first person that believed in me. He saw something that nobody did. I mean, they were like, you can't be a volunteer at a kids camp because you get in fights, you do drugs. And he's like, no. He goes, I think there's something more than that. Didn't know that until a couple of years later. Mm-hmm. But he believed in me when no one else. And there was this one position. It was called the like a student director. And so it was, I can't think of the right word. But anyway, I got to leave it was going to either be 3 weeks or 9 weeks of my senior year and just be the resident counselor out there. Mm-hmm. And there was this other kid, John Rollenhorst, and was a great guy, tall, good student, athlete, all these other things. And so he says, okay, I know I had to pick between you guys, but I'm going to pick Chris for the main 9 weeks and John for the other 3 weeks. Yeah. And because I've never been around a good leader or anybody that believed in me, I'm like, well, no. Mm-hmm. You should have John do the 9 weeks. Yeah. And I'll just do the 3 weeks. And he says, if I wanted John to do the 9 weeks, I would have picked him.
Yeah, right.
He goes, I picked you.
Yes.
And I to this day, I mean, we're talking 45 years later. Mm-hmm. Every time I think of someone that believed in me, his name pops up.
Wow.
It's right there.
So it really made an effect.
And I've been through a lot of really good leaders that have fired me over the years.
Exactly. They fired you.
2, Steve Baker from the fire department.
Nice.
He was a younger guy, and he got promoted, and he was younger than everybody, youngest kid that ever got promoted to a lieutenant. Mm-hmm. And people are like, he's too young. He doesn't know shit. Right. But I'm telling you what, man, that guy could lead. You do something wrong, he'd pull you over side or not, and he'd say, hey, listen, I hooked you up to get off for 3 hours. Yep. You disappeared and you came back at 4 hours. That's bullcrap. Right. And don't do that again. And then because you're just screwing me over. And you'd be like, thank you for just telling me the truth instead of going, doing an undermine. You know how he is.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was like, out of all my bosses, he was the best boss. I'm pretty sure he's not listening to us, but thank you, Steve. And then Pastor Randy, man, Pastor Jonathan was good, and they're both on the same page, but I'm with Pastor Randy now. Mm-hmm. He has no problem saying, I'm the leader at this church. Yeah. He said it again today. Yeah. I'm the leader here, and we're going to go this way, and God's given me, he's anointed me to do this church. Now I get advice and everything else like that, but I'm going to lead, and I'm going to lead in this way, and if you want to come, hey, man, love it. Yeah. Start a small group. Do whatever. Great. Be the leader that God created you to be. Yes. But if you think that I'm going to be the leader that you think I should be, different church. Now that's a leader.
Yes. Well, because he's listening to, because if you want to take the chain all the way up, it's like this person has this person's back and this person has this person's back. And you go all the way, well, who has Randy's back? It's like he's got people beside him. But ultimately, he's listening to what God has for the direction of the church.
And he'll be held accountable for that.
Absolutely. There's people, the people beside him will hold him accountable because, and it's not like Randy himself is receiving the one true word of God or something like the Pope. No. But it's like, no, he's not. But there's the team of people that are surrounding him or that are with him that are like, what?
You can't talk about the Pope.
Well, like the Pope's going to listen and get us canceled?
True. Okay.
I'm not Catholic. Let me just, for the record.
Really?
Oh, I know, right?
You've been everything else. Just not Catholic.
Just not Catholic. No, I'm a great Catholic for everything other than being Catholic. No, but
go ahead.
The group of people that are around him are all ultimately listening to the word of God and the direction of God. And yes, they listen to suggestions and people, like Randy had said, but it was ultimately the church is going to move in a direction. And this is God ordained, and it has been confirmed. And it's not just like, Joseph Smith. I have the golden tablets, and I'm the only one that could read them, and you have to listen to me. It's like, no, this isn't how he does.
So let's pull this together. Okay. What does this have to do with anything to our listeners?
That's a good point. What does anything that we've said? Because this can sound very like church specific. Because we've talked a lot about church leadership and small groups. And it's like, well, this doesn't apply to me at all. But ultimately, whether it be in your workplace or in your friend group, like in my case, or if you are in a church group, the qualities of a leader oftentimes are things that we naturally feel are desirable. These are things that I am going to gravitate towards because they're charismatic, because they're a servant, they like to serve other people, they're communicable, and it's a person that is easy to follow. Like your friend, where it's just like, I will follow him to the ends of the earth.
Oh yeah, I would do anything for Steve.
Right, exactly. And so there's these people that we all have in our lives, whether they be mentors or whether they be your parents or somebody that you know that's just like a mentor figure.
And there are certain things that he would do. I'm like, I need to, I mean, he was pretty liberal.
Let me help you course correct.
But as a leader, and so I think that first of all, God honors people that honor their authorities. Mm-hmm. Whether it's your job, whether it's a church, whether it's in jail, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the truth is that there's something about leadership, that the pyramid of leadership,
Right.
that God ordained it.
Yeah.
God is a God of order.
Very good point.
God is a God of order. And
Yes.
and he's always been a God of order. Mm-hmm. And if you look at any successful business,
Yeah.
they're all idiots up there. I know, but they're a multi-billion-dollar company, and you're making $335 an hour. So right now, they have a little bit more wisdom than you do.
Yes.
Even though we don't see it that way, and we live in a world that says, no, you have to push against leadership because who do they think they are?
Right.
Well, they're the ones that are signing your check.
Right. Yeah.
Now, do they want me to do something dishonest? I'm out.
Right.
Do they want me to do something against my moral fiber? I'm out. But the truth of the matter is that until you can submit to your leadership, you'll never get achieved. It's why my daughter-in-law does so well. Yeah. She submits to her leadership, but she also does her job and makes their job easier.
Yes.
She's a servant leader under them, where she empowers her boss too.
Yes.
And so they're like, we need a new boss over here. Well, we would pick Nikki.
Right. There you
I
go.
mean,
naturally.
Why would we not pick her?
Exactly.
And she's just like, no, I'm going to be the woman that God created me to be.
Right.
But I'm also going to be submissive.
Yeah.
And I have to, too, under my authority.
Yes.
And say, okay, I'm going to do this because God honors that kind of stuff.
Yes. I like that. That's a great place to end. Is God is a God of order, and he has ordained order. And there's a right place. It's not like know your place, but everybody has a place where they serve best, where they operate best, and it is best to know that the leader who ultimately bows their knee to the Lord is the best leader, the best servant. When they have their life ordered themselves, they can order their life around them. So if you know that your leader, or if you are a leader, is following the higher calling on their life, and they're ordering their steps in alignment with that, then those are the traits of a successful leader.
I don't know if this verse fits, but I'm going to shove it in there.
Let's go.
My yearly verse this year is, wherever I cause my name to be honored, I will come to you and bless you. And it's all throughout the Bible where we honor God, we honor our authorities, we honor our spouses or friends. If we're honorable people, God blesses that stuff.
Absolutely.
And so if you want to be blessed, honor the people that God's put on top,
above you, beneath you here.
Yeah. But just being honoring people for who they are.
That's good. Yes. Honor those around you, and you too will be honored. That's good. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for tuning in.
Love you, man.
Learning a little bit about leadership and about honoring and all that good stuff, and who knows, maybe we'll be better leaders after this. But we're already perfect, right, Chris?
I'm feeling pretty good about myself right now.
I think I'm the best. We'll see you next week.
Peace out.
Peace.